Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan AGAJAINIan Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Our guests tonight are Dr. Aisha Simjee and comedian Jordan Pease. Award-winning Dr. Aisha Simjee was born and raised in Burma, where she studied medicine. A naturalized U.S. citizen, she has, over the last 35 years, practiced ophthalmology in Orange County. She's written Hope in Sight, which talks about her medical missions to far-off lands for people who are suffering and sightless. Did you come from a family of doctors?
Not at all.
No!
In my tribe, usually when a girl gets to be teenager, with parental arrangement, she gets married. I am the only one in my entire tribe who went to high school, who went to college, became a doctor, and first one to come to United States.
And how did you get out of Burma that way? How did you get out of all those traditions, really?
It was not easy.
No.
But if you make up your mind, and hopefully your parents go along with it, then it is workable.
So your parents did go along with you then?
That's correct. They were not happy about it because I was supposed to get married to a guy that they chose. And when I was 17 years old, but I said, no, I want to go to finish high school and I want to go to college. I want to become an eye doctor. And
You knew all that in Burma?
since I was 7 years old, I wanted to become an eye doctor.
Isn't that fantastic? What made you want to do that?
Eye doctor specifically, not just any doctor.
I know.
Because I was 7 years old when I had a disease called trachoma, not to be mistaken with glaucoma. Glaucoma is high eye pressure. In United States, it's second largest cause of blindness. But trachoma is an infectious disease caused by chlamydia infection.
Oh,
And
is it a virus?
It is no,
It's not.
It is not virus. It's a bacteria.
Oh, it's a bacteria.
Yeah, chlamydia infection, and it is very prevalent in some part of the world, especially where I grew up. So I had that infection, and it is divided in 4 stages, Macallan classification, 4 stages, and I had first stage. So at the beginning of first stage, my mother treated it appropriately, whatever was available, so it didn't go to second, third, or fourth stages.
How did she know that?
Of course, she would know only because that was the common thing. When a child gets red eye, they look for a young nursing mother.
Oh.
And the fee for a young nursing mother is to take lunch for her husband, and all the children, and she will lay you in her lap, and she will squirt the breast milk directly into the eye.
And that kills the bacteria?
That does not kill the bacteria, but it cleans off the bacteria, and it is a sterile milk, is perfectly sterile, and it is protein rich, and therefore it worked. For whatever reason, it worked. So my mom was very, very adamant about it, and she took me to a young mother, and she squirted milk, and it went on for about 2 weeks, and my eye healed.
Could you see out of your eye at the time?
At that time, I recall, not the whole lot, but yes, I could see, but it was extremely photosensitive. Extremely. As soon as I open the eyes are tearing because blood vessel grows into the cornea, and it is just
So she could tell right away, she could tell after a few weeks that it was healing.
Yes,
and you
she
could
could
see
tell
better.
that, right, yes. And I could open the eye. I could
see.
still see. In spite of infection, I could still see, but it was difficult for me to open the eye because of light sensitivity.
But how could you treat that many children? How many nursing mothers?
Not everybody can afford that.
I was going to say,
Not
but
everybody can
also-
afford to bring lunch and dinner to a young mother and be meticulously taking the child to her. So that is the reason. This is trachoma is number 1 blinding disease in the whole world.
So it blinds you totally.
When it goes into 3rd or 4th stage is final. Nothing could be done about it.
Is it contagious? Highly contagious?
It is contagious, yes. It is contagious. And children, when they are playing on the street, they touch each other and your eye is red. They go ahead and touch the eye and say,
your eye is red.
Oh, your eye is red. And then they
touch their eye?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So that was your inspiration.
Since then, I said I wanted to be an eye doctor.
Did you go to an eye doctor in Burma?
At that time, there were no eye doctors around. No.
And how did you get out of Burma? Were you able to just leave?
Extremely difficult. I have to go to American Embassy and tell them what I wish to do. And of course, I have to take extra exam in American Embassy and take a TOEFL exam, test of English language called TOEFL.
But your country didn't keep you.
They would have.
That's what I wanted.
They would have. But I paid a price for it.
Oh, so
and I got out.
Everything was like that. How old were you then?
At that, 26 years old.
Oh, you'd already taken all of your training. You were already
Not
a doctor.
Not all training. I was an MBBS over there. Here is MD, over there is MBBS. And I finished my internship and I have a certificate that I'm a doctor. On top of that, I took ECFMG, which is to qualify to come to America, and I took some other exam that will qualify me to go to London.
And you were all alone doing this
all by
alone.
Myself.
So you came to the U.S. to train. Where did you go at that time?
I went to South Baltimore General Hospital. And now they have changed name, but that's where I started off. I lived there in on-call room, and I eat there, and I work there.
You had no place else to go.
No place else to go.
Did you have a job there when you came?
Of course. Actually, the job was required to pay for my transportation because Burma will pay if you go to east up till Thailand, Bangkok. If you go to west up till Bangladesh. That's all the ticket they will allow you to go. Other than that, so to come all the way from Burma to United States, they won't let my parents pay for the
they wouldn't even let you buy a ticket.
No. I came here with $10, grand total $10.
And so you were so lucky to have a place to stay, really.
It was absolutely necessary that I go and work in a hospital that gives me a room to stay for first year at least and feed me.
Unbelievable.
And they paid for my trip to come all the way from
That's a great
Burma.
story. Once you got to the hospital, because you had been working in Burma, how was it different, the Far East and America, to what you had been doing?
I had heavy Burmese accent. And therefore, Dr. Robert Parker, who was the chief of the medical staff, advised me to take accent reduction classes, which I took every day, very
carefully.
Right, carefully, and therefore my accent became much better to understand.
So you were busy. Were you
Very
practicing
busy.
at the hospital as well?
All day, and I will offer my services even when they are on call. If they want to leave, I would say go ahead and spend time with your family. I'm in the hospital.
Oh, you were there.
When you get a call, I'll see if I can handle it.
I see. So what were you doing? You were doing
I was doing rotating internship. So we
Oh.
spent 3 months in medicine, 3 months in surgery, 3 months in pediatric, and 3 months in OBGYN.
So had you been experienced in any of those before?
Yes, because
you
I
had.
did internship in Burma also.
Oh, the same way.
Right, but of course over there the emphasis is mostly on infections. Malaria, cholera, hepatitis.
And your expertise now is cornea.
Cornea transplant.
Cornea transplant. Tell us what that does.
In Orange County, where I've been practicing for 35 and a half years, I do general ophthalmology, do cataract surgery, and cornea transplant.
And you do laser surgery?
Right, LASIK, etc.
Okay, now, you wrote a book. Why write a book? You're so busy, you're doing all of this operations, you're seeing patients all the time.
Yes.
Why would you write a book?
Solid reason. I want people to know what's going on around the world. I have traveled and worked in 28 countries around the world. Last trip was in Ecuador, which is not even included in the book. And I want people to know what's going on in the world, and some younger ophthalmologists to read it and get motivated to give a helping hand if they can. That's number
what they
one.
need to do.
And number two reason is that even if you are not rich enough to go anywhere else, even if you are not in medical field, you can still give a helping hand to someone locally, because I take care of homeless clinic. I take care of homeless people. They say homeless. They are not all homeless, but they just don't have enough insurance. But a number of them are homeless. So in Orange County, Illumination Foundation holds homeless clinic on Sunday in different part of Orange County.
When you go on these missions, you've gone to 28 countries, you said, and for some reason, I've marked Bosnia, because I've read all of these stories. They're fantastic. Each one is a different story.
That's correct.
But they're all the same.
That's
they
correct.
all need help.
The bottom line is they all need help, and
Right.
I'm there to help them.
Right. So tell me, was the hardest country? There was one in here you talked about. Was
All
the
country has
difficult.
different difficulty, but interestingly enough, in Armenia, I did something which was extremely daring. I went there with 12 cognac, carried on dry ice in a box.
Oh, you did.
I carried it, hand carried it, went through Switzerland, argued with them at the airport, and finally I reached Yerevan, and they look at me and they didn't know what to do with myself. They were not hostile, they were not bitter, they were confused. They just don't know what to do with a tiny woman with
But
a
with
box of cognac.
Corneas,
Right.
I mean, who
So-
can believe
Right,
that?
and
I
they
mean,
wanted to open it. I said, you can't open it. It will get contaminated. It's on dry ice. So they had called in a meeting, and they left me with the cognac, and they went inside the room to hold a meeting to see what to do with me, because they insisted that they'd send the cognac to Public Health Ministry, and then they will release it whenever they want to.
And is there a time limit on
Of
those
course.
twos? There
yes,
is a
because
time
we
limit.
must. The sooner we use the cognac, the better, because these are fresh cognac on dry
Right,
ice.
right.
So when they went inside the room to have a meeting, I did something. I just don't know how I dared
I
do
don't
it, but I
either.
did it. I took the box and I ran away from the office.
I know, I can't
And
believe
Dr. Ohanesian was waiting outside in a taxi.
Oh, he was. Dr.
He was.
Roger Ohanesian.
And Dr. Richard Hill, they were waiting for me because they were confused too as what to do with me now. I'm here in the office and they were released and I'm not being
Oh, they
released.
couldn't get you. They were waiting for you because they do eye care in Armenia.
Right.
And they're in Orange County as well.
Right.
And of course, I'm Armenian, of course, so we donate money to his cause. He's
That's correct.
raises
Yes,
money in
right.
the United States.
Yeah.
And then he has a big van, doesn't he?
Correct.
That he-
At
do
that
you-
time, there was no van. I
Ah.
went there many years ago, and at that time, there was no van. So we went to a hospital, and as soon as I reached the hospital in a taxi, I turned over the box of
Corneas?
cognac, and I said, "This is what I have brought for you, hand carried, and I believe custom officer will follow because I ran away from the custom
Oh,
office."
right, right.
So they said, okay, let them come, we'll handle them. But at least I know the cognac is in the right place. He immediately put it into the refrigerator, and I said, now we can wait for the custom officer.
And then you started doing surgeries.
The very next
How
day.
did the surgeries, how did those people come to you?
They knew that I'm a cognac specialist, and they knew I'm bringing 12 cognac. So the chairman of the department over there, who is an ophthalmologist, an excellent cognac transplant surgeon, he had invited several patients to come that morning. So I started screening them, and then whoever I felt I could do, I went ahead and did it, and he also did it on some patients.
So you needed the most desperate case. Is
That's
that what
correct.
happens?
That is correct. When both eyes are opaque, both eyes cognacs are opaque. Cognac is equal to the crystal of our wristwatch, and that's the
is
one.
that- so you see through it, you mean?
That's correct. I like to go ahead and do cognac transplant on patient when they have nothing to lose.
And it's very simple, isn't it?
It is, yes.
I mean, it's a short period of
That's
time.
correct. It could be done without any elaborated machines.
That's it. Do you take a machine with you?
There's few times I take microscopes and machines, not all the machine, but few things that I feel I can help my patient more effectively, so I take them.
So what's the name? Why did you name it this, Hope in Sight?
Because there's hope inside. When we go there, we want to give them some hope. And let's go ahead and help you. See if we can help you. And there's some hope in that side.
Just before we leave, on the trip to Armenia, do you go to different countries or you just do one country at a time?
One country at a
I
time,
see.
except in 2010, I have already promised Cambodia, Phnom Penh, that I will go and work in Lions Eye Specialist Hospital.
I see.
I have already promised them, so I must keep my promise. And then happened, Haiti issue came up. So I wanted to go there because Sean Penn Clinic, Jensen Penn Haitian organization, Haitian
So
Relief Organization.
they're asking you to come.
JPHRO, that's the name of the organization. So they asked me if I can come and give them a hand because no ophthalmologist has been there, at least when I went there. So I went over there and I ended up working as an emergency room. I'm an ophthalmologist in this country. I cannot even touch the nose in between two eyes. It won't be allowed legally.
Oh.
But over there, I delivered babies. I amputated a finger. I work as a plastic surgeon, remove foreign body and suppurative discharge, cleanup or suppuration. And I did all those things as an emergency room physician.
That's fantastic, and that's hope. It's really great.
Hope.
And I'm so glad that you came to tell us your story, because now they have to read it. You have to read her book. It's really interesting. So thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm honored to be invited by you.
I'm happy to have you. And don't go away. We'll be right back with Jordan Pease. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm here with comedian Jordan Pease, who was born and raised in New Jersey, surrounded by a large Italian-American community. He's worked in comedy clubs across America, won competitions, and has written a memoir about his time in Verona. I don't know what that's about, but we'll find out. So when did you decide you were funny enough to be a comedian?
Growing up, I was always like the prankster.
Yeah.
I was always the jokester, but I was definitely more of the prankster.
Yeah.
Like, I have an older brother and older sister, so it was like a war zone in our house. My mom, how she put up with it, I have no idea. But we used to just pull pranks on each other all the time.
But they did too.
Oh yeah, it was a war. It was like civil. It was crazy, the stuff we did to each other.
But you can do that, but you still can't get on stage. And
Oh,
do
I know.
that.
Yeah, we can't pull pranks on stage.
But maybe you can. But
I know that could be fun. Hopefully, when I have my own special, we're gonna have some glitter explosions and stuff.
That's an interesting thing. Where does a comedian go from there?
I know. Yeah. So thinking
when
back,
I have my own show.
Right. Thinking back, I used to always, growing up, like through elementary school, we would always have those book fairs, and I would always go crazy at them. Like, I would tell my parents I wanted all these books. I was always interested in writing and reading, and
Oh, you were.
it was always comedy writing and comedy reading, and I used to buy books of just like jokes, like blonde jokes, and I would never understand what they meant because I was so young, but I would say them and repeat them and like tell these blonde jokes to people on the street, and they'd be like, what is this 4-year-old kid saying these
Is that right?
these
You
blonde
really?
jokes about people screwing in a light bulb, and he has no idea what he's talking about.
Why are they?
Yeah, that was me, like my entire life growing up. But
You do write your own material?
yes.
Do you write for other people?
I do. I'm in the process right now for writing for a couple people. I don't want to give away their spots, but
you do.
I do write for a couple people.
How do they come to you? I mean, how do they know
through
you
comedy
write?
shows? I mean, some of them are friends. Some of them are more professional than I am.
But that's an interesting
yeah,
thing, that
comedy,
you
we
write
really-
for a comic, because
Yeah.
you're a comic who writes
totally,
for himself.
Yeah. We feed off, comedy's amazing because you can kind of feed off of each other's energy. So if you put someone in a room that has similar material as you, a lot of times, I mean, you could have similar jokes. But if you have someone that's really different than you could feed off of each other's energy, and you take it into paths that you expected before.
But you do it from your own wit.
Yeah,
What about,
yeah.
I mean, isn't that what you do?
Mhm, totally, yeah.
You use your own wit.
A lot of my jokes are more of like personality
Or
and
personal.
Yeah,
So how do you
exactly.
write for someone else, and how do they pull
it's
off?
hard. It is, yeah.
How
you
do
almost
they
have
pull
to,
it off?
yeah. You almost have to put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
But it gets really difficult. A lot of people have different genres of comedy, and my own comedy is very conversational, and I write my books just the same way as my comedy.
I
It has
see.
a really strong voice. You could almost hear me talking when you read my book.
I can't wait.
So when you write for other people, it's kind of like you want to get to know them really well, and you want it to come off representing them in the right way.
What
Yeah.
was your first professional gig, so to speak?
Oh my god. The first time I ever did stand-up, I was living in San Francisco, and I did an open mic at a laundromat.
Oh, you're kidding,
Yeah.
really? But that's
and-
pretty chic
No,
now.
it's hysterical, yeah. And then the first time I ever did stand-up in LA, it was at a small hotel in Hollywood, a really dark, like, basement venue, and it was crazy.
Is that like a testing ground for you?
Yeah, it was really, I mean, I guess that was my groundbreaking performance into stand-up, but, I mean, since then, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's hard. It really is hard.
Were you always going to be a stand-up?
There was no other plan.
No other. No, you weren't going to
I tried. I love acting. I would love to do comedic acting and get into that as well, but it's always been, I mean, comedy, I've surrounded myself with comedy, and I will only surround myself with comedy forever.
How does the audience react to you?
It's crazy. I actually book a lot of more, as a gay male, they book me for a lot of shows that are in West Hollywood and in the Castro and stuff like that, and they book me for a lot of gay venues. But I actually kill and do a lot better, believe it or not, at doing mixed audiences, like between mixed race and mixed sexuality.
I was going to say, because you do Latino, you do...
They're my favorite audience. Latino nights are my favorite.
Jewish audience.
Oh my God, they're the best, because they're the same as Italians, basically.
Veterans.
Yeah.
Did they get it?
Yeah, veterans, when I make fun of myself for being gay, they think it's hysterical. They're like, oh my God, this is so funny.
But you don't want to be a gay comedian, right?
No, I mean, I am a gay comedian. I'm gay, but that's not my only characteristic. I'd rather be called funny before I'd be called gay.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean.
But does gay make you funny, or can you make fun of yourself?
Oh yeah, the first 5 minutes of my set is always making fun of myself, and then, I mean, most of my set is just. I mean, it's almost like a gay look on things that are everyday life.
Talk about the venues first.
Comedy Store?
Comedy Store.
The Laugh Factory, John Levitt's Comedy Club, the Improv. I have enough material now where I could do 30 minutes of any sort of audience. Before I go up, I usually know in my mind, like on June 26th coming up, I'm in Ontario, California at the Ontario Improv. Yeah, which is awesome. Most gay comics would probably get pretty nervous because, I mean, it's in Ontario.
I know, because it's not your territory.
It's basically car dealerships and some desert. But for me, I'm like, whenever they book me, I'm like, I've never been more excited. I love it because they do this thing called Latin Night, and I always try to be part of the Latin Night.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Yeah, and I love it. It's like one of the best venues I've ever performed.
Do you pass for a Latin?
No, and they love it. I'm like the one white guy, the one gay guy, and they love it. They're like, oh my God, I'm the variable.
Okay, so when you go on stage, so you haven't planned it. You just have in your mind, you know what you're going to do.
I know my material really well, and I'm always right. Like, if you catch me at a coffee shop, I will look at something and then jot it down, like that creepy person who's like, who's this person that's always taking notes? That's totally me. So I always have this surplus of material, but in my mind, I kind of know within the first 20 minutes, or actually before 20 minutes before I go up, I'm always listening to music and I'm narrowing down my material.
So I
kind of go through and I highlight I need to use this, I need to use this.
In your mind, you don't have notes.
No, I
do you?
I have books.
You do.
I've filled 3 or 4 journals with
you take a book with you on stage?
Never, not on stage. But before, I just do a flip through and it kind of.
You do?
Everything. Yeah, I just want everything's fresh.
So before you came on here, did you go through that?
No.
This is what
I
I'm
was
going to
do. Let's wing it. Let's do it.
Let's wing it.
Yeah.
How do you engage your audience then? I mean, you're talking about car dealers and desert.
Yeah,
and
for
Latinos
sure. I mean, a lot of veterans.
Yeah. How do you engage them?
I think it's really important in stand-up comedy to make fun of yourself first before you make fun of anyone in the audience or make fun of any race or ethnicity. You need to make fun of yourself first.
Right, that's good.
Because you want to put yourself on the same level.
Right.
I usually go in and I make fun of myself for either being from New Jersey or for being gay, or a lot of times when they intro me, they'll make me seem like this big, burly, straight man and say that I won this bodybuilding competition, and then I come up and they're like, who is this kid that
with the
tattoos
is
thinner than an Olsen twin? It's is that Taylor Swift or a Girl Scout on stage? No, it's just Jordan.
So that's how you started out.
Yeah.
Did you bypass college to go on the stage?
College and me we're in a constant relationship, I want to say.
Oh, you do?
I'm always taking classes. I went to San Francisco City College, which is a community college, and then I've taken classes down here, but I love psychology, the brain, I love
that's
studying.
What I wondered, if you got anything from
a lot of
classes.
comics that I talk to are really interested in psychology and how the brain works. But right now, college is on hold, and writing and stand-up is...
Is there a stand-up training
job.
Ground that you went to?
There-ish. There's a school in San Francisco.
It doesn't sound like you did this either.
I know.
How'd you get up there and learn how to do everything yourself?
It's kind of, if you talk to any other comic, it's the more you do it and the more practice you have, the easier things get. But it's getting stage time and doing open mics.
That's
and
it.
The more you watch stand up and you learn timing and, I mean, punchlines, it's experience. I mean, I have so many friends that I will take out to coffee and I'm like, sit here and I'm going to run jokes by you. And if you don't like them, you need to tell me the honest truth.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, all the time, because, I mean, sometimes open mics are amazing, but other times it's just filled with comedians.
We started talking about where does a comedian go from there? What other opportunities are open for you? We talked about acting.
Yeah,
but what,
the doors
a TV
opening.
show?
Yeah, it's... I mean, the doors that have been opening lately are... I mean, I'm blessed and I'm so happy. I mean, I'm already working on more writing stuff. They're giving me my own blog on the Huffington Post, which I'm so excited for.
Really?
Yeah, to follow me while I go on tour and stuff like that, to keep basically
diary,
articles about, like, me performing in Palm Springs compared to when I'm in Houston, Texas.
And who books you?
Comedy booker. Each comedy club has comedy bookers, agents.
You mean they just know you? Each club
Well,
has somebody and they know who you are?
Living in LA is a total plus, because it's like I work at this comedy club in Los
Right.
Angeles, and they're like, that's a really competitive comedy club, so we kind of can put our trust in you.
So if you've
Yeah.
been there, they
Mhm.
know you.
Yeah, and I have videos and stuff that are online, and my Twitter. I have
But
a
you don't
pretty
have an
nice
agent then
following.
that tries to book you.
There's comedy agents. I have a couple comedy booking agencies that work with me, as well as a
But
PR
they work with a
person.
lot of people?
They have multiple clients, yeah.
Do
So
they?
it's
Yeah.
a lot of it's on you. So you
So-
just got to stand out and be different, and that's basically how you get it. I mean, no matter where I am, either if I'm in Canada or Texas, I'm usually in skinny jeans, some Converse, and a t-shirt.
Do you use a mic
Oh,
or
yeah,
do you
yeah.
have a
No, I use a
lavalier?
mic. Yeah,
You use
some of my jokes are about the mic. So yeah, so I'm constantly I run around the stage. My energy is really active on the
I
stage.
can imagine. How
Yeah.
long is it?
It depends. Usually it's anywhere in LA. You could probably catch me doing anywhere between 8 minutes and 20 minutes, and then when I'm on the road, I mean,
Oh, that's
between
it.
25 and 30. Yeah.
25 and 30.
Mhm.
That's pretty long.
Yeah, to be by yourself on stage.
Do you have the audience ask questions?
I have enough material where I don't do too much
You don't
crowd
need
work,
to
but
do
I mean,
that.
sometimes someone will shout something and I'll be like, and I'll say something fun with them, or sometimes I'll say a joke and I'll see a woman in the audience like clutch the pearls, I call it, when she clutches the pearls, and I have to call them out on it. I'm
And
like,
then
look
you
at
do it. And then you do
Look at you, nervous, sweating in your seat, shaking.
And that's how you do
Yeah.
it. So accidentally okay.
It is. That's my memoir.
Tell me what it is.
I'm so happy with it. It is a comedic travel memoir. I kind of call it like a younger version, my version of my Eat, Pray, Love, but it would be called like Eat, Drink Wine, and Dance Your Face
Drink-
Off. Dance your face off and laugh hysterical. So it's basically about that time in life. It's a true story since it's my memoir. I was 21 and I was super happy, and I was like, I was happy, but I was happy in a different... I wasn't happy with my career. I was happy with being in a relationship and, I mean, just kind of settling. I was settled. And it kind of hit me one day. I was like, this is not where I wanted my life to go. And I'm only 21. I'm not ready for a white picket fence.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, if that's what you want to call it.
Right.
So I kind of just bailed on everything and was like, I'm going to move to a foreign country where I can't speak the language. I mean, I come from Italian
I
heritage.
know. And how did
But I've never spoke Italian.
Did they speak Italian in
my,
the house?
My grandparents speak Sicilian,
yeah.
which is like...
Oh, Sicilian,
It's-
not even Italian, right?
I don't even know what to call it.
So how long were you in Italy?
90 days exactly. So it's
Oh,
like a little
90.
rehab, yeah.
Oh, so we
Yeah.
have that. And then
Mhm.
how did your family accept you? I mean, tough Italian family.
Being gay?
Yes.
They were, I make so many jokes about it on my stand-up,
That's
and
why I asked
I'm the
you.
awful gay son, and
All
it's
right.
like, I don't have the cool gay job, like, I'm not an interior designer or stylist, like, they just got this. So, I mean, they're super accepting about me being gay. They just, I mean, preferably they're like, when it's legal, marry a nice Italian gay man, that'd be fine with us.
There
who
you are.
owns an Italian restaurant and stuff like that, but they're okay with
perfect.
it. My grandparents are super, I mean, they're old school, but they're like, as long as you're happy, that's all that matters. They've come to the conclusion in their life where it's like, if you're not happy, there's no point of living, so...
And they love you.
Yeah, and my
and
mom...
that's the whole thing
yeah.
is about love.
My
And
mom-
we love you too,
Oh, thanks.
Jordan.
This is so fun, yeah.
Thanks for being with us.
Oh, anytime.
Anytime.
You can find the book on Amazon and on
good.
BarnesandNoble.com, and
Oh,
it'll be
good.
on shelves this winter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching.
guys.
Keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles, 90017. But Continue your emails. We love them. JAQUINN1 at AOL.com.
Bye.